We are looking at a fairly ordinary piece of wood, but in the hands of our master woodworker, what will it become? A question, a mystery, a journey in the making. In the heart of our workshop, a story unfolds. A slab of raw timber, its secrets untold. What will it become? Let your guesses take flight. For magic in woodcraft comes to life tonight. Tools hum and whisper, machines softly sing. As we shape and we carve, what wonders we'll bring. The grain tells a tale with each careful cut, transforming the wood from its somber old rut. Could it be a sculpture, so fine and so grand? Or a gift to be cherished, made by skilled hand? A vessel for music, or something to see? What do you think this marvel will be? Hints lie in fragments, in shadows and strings. In the echoes of melodies the workshop now sings. Hold your breath, watch closely, the moment draws near. The secret will soon become crystal clear. And as the final touch brings forth its true name, revealing a banjo, set to acclaim. From a humble wood slab to an instrument bright, the journey of wood turned to art and delight. So join us, dear viewer, in this wondrous place, where wood becomes magic, and dreams leave a trace. At New England Wood Turning, our story's begun. With each new creation, new wonder is spun.
Okay, so we've got this far. You've seen the slab of beefwood, western beefwood, and the piece of silver top ash. This is the what I've made from those pieces. You don't have to be a scientist to figure out that it's going to be a banjo. This is what they refer to as a mountain style banjo. And this all here is all the components. So exciting times. We're going to actually put this together now, and we thought we'd film it so that you could see the process of it going together. So this is your hardware. These are your tuning pegs. Now, I've only just started learning to play the banjo, and the reason that I'm actually making this, I thought it would be a great project, but at the same time it would sort of be more interesting learning to play a banjo on one that I've actually made. I do have a banjo, which is a very, very nice banjo. But the reason that I'm making this, I thought it would just be interesting to actually play a banjo that I've made. So I'm very, very raw at the terminology and the way things work. This is the process of learning how to do it. I did get myself some plans. You can get plans on the internet. This is called a mountain banjo, and this is the actual kit that I'm doing. I've actually changed quite a few things on it and the process of making it, just because I have machinery that the average person wouldn't have. But as I go along, I'm actually learning what I need to do to make a good banjo. Hopefully it'll be a nice banjo. So we'll just quickly run through. These are the tuning pegs. This will be a 5-string. So we've got tuning pegs. This is a little bit of leather that you'll see will go at the end. That's your bridge down here. And then this is all the hardware that we'll need. This is what they call a tone ring. This is a tone ring. I've made one out of ply. And these are all the bits and pieces. I've got my set of 5 strings and all the hardware that we'll slowly put together and show you the process of how all this comes together. I'll try and explain it best I can, remembering that this is my first ever attempt at making a banjo. I'm only a very rank amateur player, so I don't know a great deal about them. So the process of making it, I will learn, and I already have, a heck of a lot more than when I started. So we've used ironbark, That's the actual front ring. That's the back ring, both ironbark. That's the middle ring. You'll see how all this goes together in a minute. This is made from silver top ash. The tone ring is just ply that I've laminated. This is the neck. So the white part is silver top ash, and the fretboard is ironbark. And for my fretboard markers, I'm not sure of the actual term, they're just like reference markers, so that when you're playing you can quickly see where your 3rd and 5th and 7th frets are and things like that. And what I did for those was I actually used bullet shells and inlaid those. I thought it would look nice because I've made this so that it's got a lot of hardware showing, which you'll see in the end. I just like to, I love mechanical looking things. My preference, a lot of people would go, why would you do that? That's my preference. If you have a look at the one that they're showing here, there's no physical hardware visible except your tuning pegs. Okay, I've gone the opposite. I've exposed everything. So we'll start the process, and I'll try and explain it the best I can, remembering that I'm very rank amateur at this. First one I've ever made, but I'll attempt to explain it as I go. Okay, so we'll start putting this together. So step one is, this is the front ring, and as I said, ironbark, very hard and heavy. So I'm hoping that it gives me good sound. So we'll screw this onto here. We've just got 4 button head screws, and we'll anchor this onto the front. The reason I didn't glue this to the front, I want it so that it's 100% dismantleable, so that down the track, if it gets knocked about, I can soon take it apart, cut it back and respray it. Plus, if there's any of these parts that I've done wrong, I'm hoping that I can make them better once I learn more about the banjo. So that's the center ring attached. The next step we've got, we'll put this together. Now, I had to use all the hardware that I had available. So because we're in a rural situation and we've got very poor supply of all this sort of stuff, I basically have to run with what I've got. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to anchor a T-nut into there. What that does, it will have a bolt that will go through there, which actually connects the neck to the body. But that'll all make sense as we get to it. So we'll quickly put this in. So that's in there. That's what they call a T-nut. So that's anchored into the timber. This then will go through, thread through that, through the body, and will anchor the whole thing to it. You'll understand how that works a bit better in a minute. So we'll put that in there so we don't lose it. Now, I've made an adjustable neck so that there'll be a bolt going through the bottom of it, which will allow that to angle fractionally to make a little bit of movement. I don't understand that much about setting your fret height and all that sort of stuff, so I'm sort of flying a little bit blind. But what I had to do was have a piece a bolt going through the body that would go onto that arm to cantilever it up and down to adjust the height of the strings. So what I did, I had to have something rather than that just going into timber, which would eventually just chew into the timber. I had to come up with a metal piece that it could press on so it wouldn't go into the wood. So I was looking and trying to find some hardware to do it, and I just had 5 cents loose on the bench. So I've recessed a 5-cent piece in there that the bolt will press against to do it. So I know my banjo's worth at least 5 cents. Okay, we'll come back to that. So we'll put that in there so that we remember where that piece goes. And we'll put the head aside for the moment. So now I've got to try and remember the process that we've got to use here now to put all this together. So we've put the center ring onto there. This is the back piece now. So there's a lot of hardware got to go onto here. As I say, I've made it so it's can be taken apart quite easily. And the method I've used is just using furniture anchors, and that will be screwed onto the timber, or the other way, and these ones on the outside will go through the body like so, and they'll just screw into there, and just 2 Allen keys and you can pull the whole body up nice and tight. Take it apart whenever you need to, but we'll come back to that. So that's the back of the actual project. So what we'll do now is we'll just start putting all these T-nuts on here. So that's a bit of a lengthy process, but we will do that now. Okay, so these are what they call T-nuts. They'll anchor onto there, and then from underneath you put your screws in. So there's what, 2, 4, 6 of them. These will be used to push on what they call the tone ring against the head to make it tight so it's like a drum head. So that's what we're doing now. We're just putting all this hardware on for that to work. Okay, so that's the setup, and what will happen now is from the back, you can see those T-nuts. From the back, these will screw into here. And as you can see, they'll start to push through. And the idea of these, they're recessed fairly deep. That will in turn, this sits on here, which is called the tone ring. I have to take this back out a minute. This is the tone ring which will push on the head. And as I said, just to give it some tension so that it's nice and tight like a drum head. And making it this way, I can adjust the tension on it. So your tone ring will sit over that, it's recessed into it. so it locates. Once we figure out where it goes, there, there, there. So that sits nicely on there. And then with those 2, 4, 6 screws, that will push that and put tension on the head. So we'll put these in now. Okay, we've bit of a problem. What I've done now is I've put all these anchors back on, and it's very, very tight putting them through there. So what's happening, because that's such a tight hole and it's just exactly the right size as that, there's a little bit of variation in these, in the machining of them. I've just looked at them and they're not 100% perfect. So what's happening, some are pulling to the side, so I've just got to make these holes a fraction bigger just to give us more clearance, because there's very little clearance there. So that's problem number 1, all part of woodwork, so we'll have to do that now. So another little problem that I've discovered, unfortunately I'm very limited in the hardware I can get. Living in a rural area, our supply is pretty ordinary. We've got to work with what we have. So these particular things that I've got, I only had the certain size sawtooth bit, so I've actually got to grind these so that they fit into that recess nicely. And 1 or 2 of them are just a fraction tight, so I'm just going to run them around the grinder, just 1 rotation, just to give myself a little bit more clearance. So, bit of luck, that'll just give me a little bit more clearance to play with. Okay, so what we do now is we'll put the drum head in. So that'll just sit in there. We want to make sure that we've got that close to there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually put this together. So that goes that way. Like so, and now all these and those there will anchor the whole thing together. Okay, so we've got the drum head in now. And I'll just line that up. We'll tighten the body up first. This is where it pays to have excess. That one's been all machined wrong. It's actually cross-threaded. So we'll just double check this. So we've got it pretty much all together now. what I'm going to do now is just adjust these. The drum is really dull, so we're just going to tighten this now, remembering I have no idea how much tension I've got to put or the sort of sound that I'm after, so this is all experimental. So I'm just going around evenly, just so that we're putting even tension on the drum. So what I'm doing, I'm just going quarter turns evenly. Oh, that's better. So I don't know how much tension I've got to put on that. I don't think I should overdo it. I'll just go a little bit more. So I'll leave it at that. I'm not 100% sure what we want, but that's the body all put together now. Okay, so that's the body all put together. Bit of tension in the head. Not sure how much to do, so I'm not going to overdo it. Now we're going to put the neck onto the body, which just goes into there and is secured there, and that's just the adjustment for it. So we'll just slide that in. It's a very tight, nice fit, like that. Find it. So we'll just crank that up a bit. Straight edge, and make sure that we've got that dead straight so that the neck isn't, not that there's much movement in it, but I want to get it as accurate as possible. So I'll get my straight edge. So I've got a marker there and to there. So that can come over a fraction. I don't know how critical this is, but that looks pretty damn close to me. There. So we'll tighten him off at that. Just tightening the neck now. Don't want to overdo it, but I want that so that it's not going to move, obviously. Yeah, that's rock solid now there. The little short one goes in there. That's what will adjust the neck. Obviously, to adjust the neck, you've got to loosen that first, and that will just tilt it, and then we can put the tension back on it. So we'll put that in there now. So I'm not 100% sure of what I need to do with the adjustment of the neck, etc. I'm going to leave that loose so that I can talk to the guys that know more about it so that I know what to play with. But it's all there, it's all ready to be set up. So it's starting to look like a banjo. I've already put the fifth peg in, and I've also put a little screw here. So that's got a straight slot in it, so that will act as the nut for the string to run in, to stop it moving around. Also, being a screw, you can adjust it for height. This is what they call the nut. That goes there, obviously to keep the strings separated. And then that goes down there, and that's got very fine little cuts. Both of these have got very fine little cuts in them to stop the strings moving all over the place. So they'll become important when we start putting the strings through. So we're getting closer and closer. As I say, I use bullets for the markers, and then I put just bits of brass for the side for the indicators for your frets on the side. So what I'm doing now, I've got to put the tuning pegs in. So we'll put those in. So we're getting closer. I'm not going to put too much tension on doing these up, because at the back they actually have like a little pin that goes into the timber to stop them rotating. It's like a little anchor, so that when you're putting pressure on your strings, that can't rotate. So we're getting closer. We're pretty much at the point now of running the strings through, which I've never done. I know nothing about, so this should be interesting. So the strings I bought the very good quality strings, and each string is in its individual packet. So this is third string, and it actually tells you that we've got to tune that to a G. So from what I've read, we start with string number 4, which is this one. So it's a bit gnarly at the end there. I don't know if that's going to make a difference for redoing it. But like I say, this is all a learning exercise. So I think what we'll do, we'll get some tape. Stop. So, like I said, I got no idea how they do this, and I'm not even sure you're supposed to put strings back on that you've taken off, but we will see what happens. Right, so I've got the 4 strings on. I've never done this before. I don't know if I've done it right. I'm hoping that I've crossed them over so they don't slip. I'm going to put the nut in now. Now I haven't glued the nut in because I'm not sure about the string height, and if I glue it in, I think there's going to be too much drama. Whether this will work just being loose, I don't know. I'm sure all the banjo guys out there are laughing at this point by now, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so I've put the nut in just to keep everything at bay. The only problem I've got is that's wanting to pull sideways, which is a bit of an issue. So I might just get my a pair of soft jaw, a little clamp just to hold that. I've got a little soft jaw clamp here that I'll just put on here. Might have to go from the top. Don't think this is going to work. Okay. All right, so what we're going to have to do so like I say, by now I'm sure all the guys that do this all the time are laughing their heads off. So what I've got to do now is just bring this down under here. Which is not going to work. And I've just pulled all the strings off. Okay, I've got it there now. It's not going to work for me. That's just going to come out now, probably. Right. So I don't know why that failed. Okay, so we didn't show you the frustration trying to get these strings on. As I say, the guys that do this all the time would probably having a great laugh at my expense. Putting the bridge in now. Okay, after struggling to put these strings on, we now have virtually everything in place. We've got the 5th string run. What I have to do now is measure from what they refer to the nut to the bridge, and it has to be 25.5 inches. So that one's not long enough. 25.5 inches, and apparently this is fairly critical. .25.5 inches. So it's all put together now. I think it's just a matter of trying to tune it now. And this will be just as funny for those that do this all the time to watch, because I've never really done this. So I've got my tuner. So we've got to put that on there. And I've just got to go and get my picks. So I've just got to get my packets so I know exactly what I'm aiming at. Fourth, let's see. So as I say earlier, on each string packet, the first string, it tells you it's a D. For the first string's got to be a D. And we'll go up from there. So whoop. So close enough for me. And then the third is a G. One finished banjo. I'll get a friend to have a look at it and make sure that I've tuned it properly. See if there's any issues with it. I might have to put some more tension on the head. But hopefully in a couple of days I'll be learning to play it and we can make a little video and show you. But so far so good. Bit of frustration, but nice looking banjo. Just got to learn to play it now.